Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I missed you all. I'm sure the feeling is mutual, right? My name is Travis D. I'm joined here with MLBD Dylan.
Hello.
We just got a phenomenal series to start us off. We're going into another series that is very highly contested.
Yeah, it's always tough to come down from the high of a really intense series and then kind of go back into the analytical sort of dive into what's going to happen. But you're exactly right. This is another tightly contested series, as this whole entire group is between Team Pending and CLG Faith. I could see it going either way.
Yeah, either way, you could go either direction. Team Pending has been a squad that is formed up. They have a ton of collegiate talent actually underneath the roster, and it's actually phenomenal to see. While CLG Faith, they've got a lot of new kids on the block, plus a little bit of collegiate flavor in there as well.
Yeah, if you look at the side of TBA, Team Pending, they've got all of these like collegiate amateur kind of like grandpas almost. They've got Topo, formerly Topopotamus. They've got Kitsuo, who's been around forever. Robbie Bob, who's been here forever. Chukis, who's been playing on teams for years. Masu is a new pickup, and it's somebody that I actually did talk with Kitsuo about, and he's just a solo queue superstar that fit the team well, and he's sort of molding to the way that they'd like to play the game. But exactly like you said, over on the side of CLG Faith, after having talked to Myra, they wanted to go with not necessarily like a developmental team, but focus on young, moldable players that have a ton of potential and a ton of raw skill, right? Draco, a player that hasn't really played amateur before, and somebody that has been ranked high in Challenger previously. Bako, I believe his first split in amateur was actually when I coached him under Supernova last split, so he's somebody without a ton of experience, but so much potential. Town as well. Aaron is somebody that's been popping up recently through collegiate GVU, playing super well over there, and Trevor Roy sort of fitting more into the theme of Team Pending's roster, somebody that has been around the block, knows the amateur space, has been on multiple teams, and actually, funnily enough, he was on University of St. Thomas, the collegiate team that Robbie Bob and Kitsuo and Chukis are on. So Trevor Roy has experience playing with Robbie Bob and Kitsuo and was replaced by Chuki. So maybe a little bit of rivalry in the support role.
I just like the idea of the storyline that we, in comms, you just have a whole bunch of grandpas like hollering, "Hey, get out of my lane!" Oh, yes, here, going through the map. But hey, look, there might be a little bit of a rivalry there, but we also have our matchup to keep our eyes peeled upon, and it is going to be down there in the bot lane. That's a matchup that we're looking at very much so, because Aaron, as you were talking about, new kid on the block, plus we got this fresh-faced talent on the other side.
Yeah, honestly, it is such a massive matchup to be looking at, to be able to actually have the opportunity to witness live in a game, right? CLG Aaron is somebody who has been dominating in collegiate. He's been really just taking the whole scene by storm, and then he gets picked up by CLG Faith, and he doesn't start out the OQ very well. CLG went down 0-2, but then they have this massive day 2, right? Where they come back, they reverse sweep, they go 3-2, they qualify for the tournament, and a large part of that was actually off of Aaron's back, right? A solid KDA, a very high KP percentage, high DPM, but the stats over on Team Pending sides for Masu is not bad at all. Actually, he's dealing the same DPM with less gold percentage. The CS per minute is a little bit weird just because of the fact that
Senna.
When you're playing Senna, your CS per minute stat is actually going to be ruined for the rest of the tournament. But both of these 80 carries are actually looking really good. And speaking of Aaron looking pretty good, okay, CLG getting into the summer theme a little bit.
Yeah, see if touching grass will have an effect on his gameplay here.
It might make him worse.
It might have some repercussions, but getting prepared says it's time for the summer bash. Let me get praise. Look like I'm about to drop my next album. Aaron coming out here, but hey, it does lead into a very interesting scenario. I mean, and I think a lot of the fan base that we have seen that is built around CLG Faith has came about with Aaron, which is another reason why we have looked at him. He's been that up-and-comer. He's been that player that a lot of people are keeping their eyes on. He's very personable. He is somebody who is great to be able to have on the microphone whenever you ask for an interview. So it makes for a very interesting scenario. And it also brings up, hey, you talked about the 0-2 start. Hey, look, the Faithful got rewarded there inside the open qualifier. And hey, we'll see what the Faithful will bring them to. We're getting into the draft right off the get-go, and bans already flying off.
Yeah, bans flying by. We're seeing Senna taking away more Senna for Masu. Fiora, we saw that pop off last series. That's banned. Gwen as well, a very popular champion in this current meta. Banned. Top lane bans towards the side of Draco. And I like this, right? As a coach in the space, I know the value of target banning a player who's new to the scene, right? You can oftentimes generate very big advantages if you make Summer uncomfortable, right? So if you take away champions that Draco's known for in solo queue, which is those 3 champions, and then you secure a good top lane matchup for Topo, Topo's got that veteran experience, right? He's able to really weather that storm of the top lane, and he can Draco down far. But Karthus first pick, that is a Kitsuo special.
It's a Kitsuo special, and it's also PTSD for CLG Faith. Their very first game in open qualifier.
Oh, yes.
They felt the pain that is a Karthus, and it was the bane of their existence. So we'll have to see how they answer back to it. But that's an Udyr lock-in.
Okay, Udyr, an interesting pick here. I know that it is one of Bako's preferred champions. It does have a place, but I am a little bit worried Udyr into Karthus, that wall of pain can actually do a lot of work to try and slow that Udyr down. If you have more disengage with the team as well, things could get scary. A blind kind of dry Aphelios is interesting to me. It signals a Thresh on 3. Are we getting Rengar Ivern? Please tell me we're getting Rengar Ivern. Oh my!
Ivern, baby. Last time I got to see this, it was inside of collegiate top 16, and we're running it back here inside of the circuit qualifiers.
CLG's out here with their standard draft. They've got their normal picks. All right, guys, we're going to do Aphelios. We're going to take Thresh on 3 to protect the Aphelios. TBA's like, man, I don't care. We're taking Karthus. You don't know where it's going to go. We're taking Rengar Ivern. You don't know where that's going to go. Your Aphelios going to die, and it's going to be scary for him. But now things get interesting. Hound out this composition if you're team pending. For CLG, it makes perfect sense, right? You're going to want a mage, safe mid laner, something for town, maybe Twisted Fate, Syndra, Zoe, Orianna, something like that. For Draco, you're probably, if I'm Draco, I'm going towards a tank top laner. However, I know he tends to skew more towards the carry top laners. But for TPA, there's so many directions this draft can go because you don't even know who's going where.
Yeah, I'll be real. So this is my prediction so far. Karthus is going to be bot lane. We'll have a jungle Rengar. We'll have an Ivern.
Okay, I think that's safe.
I think that's a safe way to think about it. I think if you're CLG, I like your idea of picking a tank top because that could possibly happen. They get the Orianna.
Okay, that's good.
I personally think that we may see like an Ornn or something like that from Team Pending or something. No, they got Gangplank was left open.
Yeah, wow. GP, a champ that Topo's been known for years, so the fact that he's able to get his hands on that, definitely very good. And that's a pick away from Draco as well, right? If you are Draco, he's somebody that has leaned a little bit into Gangplank. And what picks are there really left into Gangplank at this point? Fiora off the board, Camille off the board, Gwen off the board. You can't pick Wukong. You're probably getting into sort of that B tier of bruisers. Aatrox gone as well. I didn't even notice that one. But the Galio, so it could be Karthus Galio bot. Tryndamere is an option.
Be a very big one because this does play into Draco's style. Draco does lock it in. It's locked in. So Draco gets himself a champion that matches his style of how he wants to play the game. And it does go to the bane of the Karthus in the bot lane because that Requiem is not a guaranteed just cash in on a kill. Low HP Tryndamere is not a target you can assassinate.
That's a great point to highlight. And one other thing that I'd like to highlight about TBA is the fact that going into this series, we hyped up Robbie Bob, Kitsuo. They're really the foundation of this team. I talked with Kitsuo, and the idea for this team, for this roster, started because Kitsuo and Robbie Bob play collegiate together. They're friends in collegiate. They know how each other plays, and they said, hey, let's start an amateur team. let's try and make a name for ourselves in the amateur space for the millionth time for some of these players who have been around the block. And so the fact that it could be Rengar, Ivern for the two collegiate players, the backbone of this team pending, it's so exciting. I mean, there's so much playmaking potential on both sides, but I would be lying if I didn't say that team pending's team composition excited me a little bit more.
Yeah, it excites you too, because it's just like you said, there's that duo that's already there, and it's just like, yes, of course they can play a composition like this. They know each other. That smiley face, that's their logo, that's the entire team. They are constantly that face, no matter what the situation may be. So it makes perfect sense. I am very excited also for the Kitsio Chookies combo that can come out here, because there was the old school strat of when you used to play Rengar, when Shen was a super popular pick, where you would go invisible as the Rengar, and you would be a submarine delivery service for the Shen. And now you get that with the Galio. You don't know the Rengar is right there beside him. You don't know there's a heroic entrance, and then all of a sudden he bursts through the door just like he's Kool-Aid Man. It is something that is very difficult for them to actually deal with. But CLG does have a very standard composition. I think this plays to a lot of their strengths, and I do think, even though they do have a little unique flavor there, they have a pretty nasty team fight.
They do. They certainly do. The Orianna, the Aphelios, the Thresh, they have the scaling. They have the ability to play out clean team fights. The problem comes, though, if they fall behind in the early game, or if they just get kind of flustered with the weirdness that is TBA's composition, right? Like, it's very easy if you're on the side of CLG to not know how to play this game, right? You might know how to play your lane, but in terms of like the actual game, you know, maybe Draco overextends on the side lane and he's caught out by Rengar with a card pistol. There's so many possibilities that could happen that are all going to have to wait until the game actually unfolds. But I do think CLG got what they wanted. I will say that. Although I do kind of like TBA's draft just from a creative perspective, CLG likely went into this game with these 5 champions on the drawing board for what they wanted to draft. So they've been practicing this. They've been thinking about this. Now let's see it come to fruition in game.
Man, we're here. We're in here. Game number 1. And hey, look, this is a place where you're able to see all of this craziness. Make sure you go ahead and keep tuned for this Path to LCS channel, because this is where you get to see the finest of matchups. This is where you get to be down with the weird, where you get to see strategies like this come in, and that's just action you really can only see here in Path to LCS channel. Is looking to get into this game, seeing some standard starts, even though we don't have a standard draft. This is a very exciting game to spectate.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated to see how this early game is going to pan out. Rengar not really known for his ganking prowess, so it's likely that Rengar will probably just clear and try and really have a stable early game until level 6. That being said, Draco with the ultimate Chad summoner spells.
Yes.
Ignite, Ghost, Lethal Tempo, Tryndamere. This is the solo queue special. I like it. I really do like it, because you can pressure the GP so much with this, because Gangplank can't really create separation like other top laners can. He doesn't have a dash, really doesn't have a stun. If you don't have a barrel set up already, you've got no CC. And so the fact that Draco can get onto him and stay on him could be very, very scary for Topo.
Yeah, he can scale, but he can't run. At least not when Tryndamere has set his sights on a possible kill in the top side matchup, so it does have to be very cautious with that, especially as he's building up that rage, that fury, and looking to spin the win for some kills. I'm very curious, by the way, wait a second, Draco, that's the Ignite. Topo, you don't win this. You do not win an auto trade with this Tryndamere.
Yeah, he doesn't win the auto trade, but he does have Corrupting Potion. So as soon as those start ticking, he will actually be able to heal up, and he'll be okay. Like, it's not a terrible spot to be in. It'd be terrible if he died. Oh. Whoa, that was cool. Oh, wow. Yeah.
You can buffer the punch to be able to move out of that tricky situation. So, kind of like a Tristana jump. It has a buffer timing.
That was like ultimate swag right there. I've seen the Galio punch do some crazy things, but that just looked really cool right there. And Draco desperately trying to crash this wave. He knows Kitsuo's knocking on the door for a gank here. Topo gonna collect this CS. And if you look at the CS, assuming Topo can collect most of these, he's actually going to have a CS lead, which is quite nice, right? Because the Gangplank will outscale in terms of team fight. You will always lose the side lane, right? You're never going to beat the Tryndamere in a side lane, assuming that you're even. But the more gold you get, the scarier you can be later on in the game, and then you can just force team fights, and Tryndamere doesn't have TP, right? I like that Town is holding the mid wave here. Interesting, he's trading so much HP to hold it here. Kind of breaks his own freeze. At the end of the day, it's not really too impactful. Speaking of Town...
he knows how to talk to dolphins. Unfortunately, doesn't work against tree people here from Ivern.
Yeah, he needs like a Nami.
Oh, the
flash engage! Trevor Roy!
Lantern. Beautiful taunt from Chookies, but it is a death sentence for him. He goes
trade
in
kill.
With the 1-2, but it's a traded kill between the two, and now we have a dive scenario. The bushes for Kitsio that continue to jump through. This cat has claws. Meow goes in forward, but it's just going to be to his detriment. CLG Town comes out ahead.
Oh my god, we've got a fiesta already on our hands, and we're only 4 minutes into it. Buckle up, everybody. It's going to be a fun game of League of Legends. Ivern Rangar looking for a little bit of a cheese onto Town. He's not going to fall for it. He knows how to talk to dolphins. How would he fall for that? Draco, though, trying to go Chad mode in the top lane. It's not going to work. Topo disengages, but the bot lane... I like that they get a trade kill onto Masu, right? Get this Karthus a little bit of gold. Town able to stabilize and... Okay, let's take a look at this.
This is so good from Trevor. Trevor's such a good player.
It's so beautiful, and this is where experience comes in, right? Able to actually realize that this is a gank angle that works, and you're synergizing it so well with Aaron's gun selection here, too. But Chuki's getting that trade kill is crucial. Ivern Rengar!
This cat is jumping all over the place. Trevor has to take an onslaught from Kitsio.
Yeah, and that's the power of Ivern Rengar. If that second push wasn't set up, Rengar wouldn't have been able to get that extra jump. And any gold you can get onto Rengar is so nice, because this is a champion that needs gold to function. It's not like these junglers, like an Udyr, that is just fine going 0-0 and just kind of being a tank. Rengar needs to deal damage. He needs to be able to one-shot your carries. And getting that, plus the potential Infernal Dragon, is a great start to the game for Katsuo.
Yeah, it is the knife cat stabs. He does nothing else. And that's what he does best, and that's okay. As you can see, he's having a little bit of struggle just trying to solo this thing out, but he will be able to eventually get it done. I like the fact that Robbie Bob is also placing his bushes towards the side wherever Rengar is as well. So he's constantly giving the Rengar an avenue, and it also affects Town, because now he also has to always play with the idea of, oh, there's a bush there. What if Rengar comes that way?
Yeah, it's honestly a lot of this matchup is mind games, right? Can you scare the Orianna, especially when she's flashless, and try and punish like that? Baco looking for the crab. Wait, Katsuo kind of caught out here. Fighting the bot lane.
Yeah, fought in the bot lane, but the junglers are continuing to scrap. Who's the superior kitten? As the Bearman comes in with the slaps, he's going to be able to take out Kitsio. Baco is going to find himself dropping as the artillery, the cannon fire is there, but Robbie Bomb is a casualty of war. Trevor goes in on the death sentence, and Chookies is trying to escape.
Masu no mana.
Flame spitting coming in, and Chookies is going to get dropped, as it is just Masu running as fast as he can, but Trevor is in hot pursuit, is looking to go ahead and capitalize. He has no flash, the Flade doesn't hit, and he will be team pending, having to fall back. Advantage for CLG Fate.
Yeah, Draco looking for a potential fight in the top side. Topo desperately trying to disengage. You do not win this, Topo. He's got to flash out. And going back towards that bottom side, it did feel like Katsuo was a little bit too confident in the Ivern Rengar combination here. Walking up to an Udyr in the river at this point in the game is scary. He desperately tries to run away, realizes the bot lane fight's not going well either. Robbie Bob just can't simply do enough. And this is just speaking sort of broadly. If your Ivern Rengar is not able to snowball the early game, things can get very tough. Because this combination, this cheese, doesn't scale very well into late game team fights. So if you're not able to get the ball rolling in early river skirmishes, it's not looking too good.
Knife Cat does one thing well. And with a dull knife, he does not do very well.
Yeah.
And it is just the story of it. You need to get him going. And like you said, a bit of over expectation. It's a little bit of a mistake, a misread, looking at the bottom map and how this is going. And this is kind of a little bit of the issue that they have is while they do have this interesting dynamic of Ivern and Rengar, right? It's like, oh, this is so cool. Their lane, they don't really have winning lanes.
That is a great point, right? You've got the GP who, like, sure, he scales, but he's not winning this lane. You've got Ivern who, sure, he's not going to die, but he's not going to win the lane. Orianna's going to get pushed. She's going to be just fine. And the bot lane matchup is kind of tense in and of itself. This Herald fight needs to go well for the Rengar.
Oh, well, they're looking for it. They have
Great
the numbers
start.
advantage to win the war. The Requiem comes through. Mako is trying to run for his life, but no turtle stance is going to be able to save him today. Trevor slow on the rotation, getting tapped a couple times. That's going to be a nice hook to be able to connect. The hero punch coming in. The hero that he needed. Aaron looking to put in some damage, has those chakrams. And they are firing off, but no casualties for Team Pending as they find 2 kills in the Rift Herald.
Yeah, those 2 kills were crucial. And the fact that Rift Herald goes over to Kitsuo on the Rengar is the icing on the cake. He's got ultimate.
Rengar?
He's going to look for a player. No
He's
flash.
Looking. Aaron, where you got to hide? You can't click the lantern. You were taunted. And now it's Trevor getting jumped upon. Will be fine. No more bushes for Kitsuo to continue his pursuit. But all of a sudden, this aggressiveness, you were talking about it. Rengar is starting to pop off now.
Like you said, I mean, out of nowhere, really, Kitsuo able to link up with Chukis and Robbie Bob to find 2 massive skirmishes back to back. Gets himself Gore Drinker, gets himself the Rift Herald, which is going to be more gold soon. And all of a sudden, this Rengar-Ivern combination has really flipped the script. They started off the game pretty lackluster, failing the dive onto Orianna, failing in the river skirmish, overestimating their damage. But the dynamic duo of Robbie Bob and Kitsuo is right back on track, the collegiate brothers.
This is the dynamic they brought in. They've been in the scene for a long time, and they have... If you're looking at these 2 as a duo, the combinations almost seem endless, right? Like, these are 2 players that have champion oceans quite literally.
Yeah, that is one thing that you talked about during our game prep, is that Robbie Bob has a champion ocean. This guy can play anything. He can play any style. He doesn't even really care about the team composition. He's going to play whatever he wants. Topo desperately trying not to get dove.
Yeah, see if it will come with effort, though. Shockwave hits. Draco's tanking the tower, but his rage is unrelenting. Oh! He goes back in, takes the tower shot. That is him dropping, even with the usage of the ult. And Flowers got the plates just gathered in the mid lane. Another dragon. Team Pending's fine with this.
Yeah, 3 plates mid with a second dragon onto your Rengar, and you get a counter kill top lane. That is worth every day of the week.
Aggression,
Trevor looking for a hook.
teleport coming in. They get a death sentence. The exhaust is there. Aaron is firing away. That is a kill onto Masu. He's making use of that passive, though. The Requiem comes in, and Trevor is a victim of it, as that is a double kill going over the Kitsuo.
This is a Rengar masterclass that we are witnessing right now. He's going back in.
Done. The bounce castle never stops. It is still going. Kitsuo is on the prowl. But his over-aggressiveness is to his dismay. Mako now looking to jump on the Robbie Bob. Chucky's waiting for his teammate. And they will be able to get their quick escape through the river.
Okay, maybe a little bit of a caster curse there. He got too full of himself with all the bushes available to him, and he overextends on a town. But this game is going from 0 to 100 real quick. Yeah. Look at the setup on this play. It really just comes out of nowhere. Trevor Roy finding a hook. Aaron, we've talked so much about how Aaron is the focal point of this CLG lineup in terms of trying to carry it, and trying to carry in terms of damage, in terms of star power. Town there with the early teleport, but Kitsuo showing why this Rengar-Ivern combination is so strong. Getting a little bit too full of himself there, though. Not really playing too well around the Galio.
Kitsuo is doing a great job inside of this game, and I don't blame him for the over-aggressiveness there. If you see a bounce castle, you go into the bounce castle. I get that.
It's too tempting. It's like, Lee Syndrome with the Q. You hit it, and you have to go in. If you have a bush available to you, you have to hop. I understand.
You have to. It's just the name of the game. Looking across, though, I mean, this is some nice snowballs that have been built. The gold is the same, but you do have to look at dragons, and we did bring up the fact that both of these teams, like, you look at Team Pending, the scaling that they have that they can possibly bring out is actually pretty disgusting throughout their top lane and bot lane.
I agree. I think the Gangplank is in a fine spot at this point in the game. He's obviously able to get the trade kill in the top lane. Topo, a player who's played dozens and dozens of Gangplank games across the course of his career. He's able to really maneuver this laning phase just fine, not falling trap to the lethal tempo, Ignite, Ghost, Tryndamere. And the downside for Draco is that he's not able to get a lead in the lane, so now he's going to have to try and find a lead in the split push.
Here we go, Rengar goes in, he sees it, he's bouncing, baby! But he will just bounce back to the minions. He does not find the kill he seeks.
Yeah, finding nothing there, popping the ultimate. This is aggressive from Kitsuo. I do like the aggression. The ultimate will be back up in time for Dragon, so it's not a massive cooldown to be burnt. He's just looking for kills. He's looking to walk around with Chukis and just pressure the map, really. Any single advantage he can get, whether it's a camp, whether it's vision, whether it's a flash burnt, he's looking for it all. Confirms that the camps are up in the bottom side, but not really having the space to invade them. I say that, he's poking his head in.
In, saying hello to it, but he gets immediately slapped by the bear as the rest of the team is here to back him up on the play. Nice boa stops Trevor from continuing to march forward. Now a little skirmish coming in, bouncing around on the blue buff. It is secured. Kitsuo is going to back away, and with the support of his team, he gets to get exactly what he would like.
Looking at this game big picture, the gold lead for Team Pending is not as big as you might actually think it would be, given how this game is kind of unfolded. CLG Faith kind of quietly getting 8 kills and really matching a lot of the pressure and the plays that Team Pending is going for. Team Pending, maybe they get 1 or 2 picks, but then CLG Faith is right back to it. And set up to do very well this game is CLG Town, a player that we haven't talked too much about yet, but somebody who had a pretty solid showing in the OQ. One of these newer faces that CLG Faith is betting on to be a great prospect. And so far, a great showing for them, despite the fact that this Ivern Rengar has tried to put a lot of pressure in the mid lane.
Yeah, 3-1-4. Orianna isn't the champion that people talk about normally when they talk about somebody who is dangerous when they get a lead, but oh boy, those shockwaves with the Leandri sword boots, it will hurt. But this is a tower secured. First brick going over to Team Pending. They're looking for a play in the bot side. Taunt does connect. Lantern is there, but
can he get it
onto it? He can't click it. It is a shutdown going over to Team Pending.
Dog pile on the Lantern. Bako not able to zoom his screen in and see it. And that's Dragon forfeited for the side of CLG Faith. They're looking for a pick onto Masu. What can they find?
Oh, the exhaust there immediately holds the play. It is going to be Team Pending, though. Still reaping the benefits.
Yeah, and look at Draco. It feels like he's a little bit lost in this game. Hasn't really completed his first item quite yet. Is sort of wandering around the bottom side of the map because he thought that Dragon was going to be the play for the team until the pick onto Bako, and he's forfeiting some CS to try and make a play bot side. Look at the response, the teleport, and Kitsuo's here.
Yeah, this is Robbie Bob, too. This is not the person that you want to see paired together with this, as the cannon fire fires down. The slow is just enough. It is Kitsuo going in, finding another kill. Another notch made. 7 kills on the Rengar.
The pressure from the Rengar Ivern with the Galio as well, it's so immense. It's so tough to deal with. They're going to be able to break open the bottom lane tower. The gold lead is slowly growing. It's still only about 2,000, 2,500 at this point. But looking over at CLG, their carries are not in too bad of a spot, right? The Tryndamere leaving a little bit to be desired, right? Falling behind the GP, not really able to do too much in the laning phase. Orianna's right where you want her to be. And the Aphelios Aaron, somebody that we've been talking about a lot, one of CLG Faith's focal points, one of the main building blocks of this roster, he's doing okay so far. He's not put too far behind. He's got some gold in him. He's got his mythic item. He's going to be on an okay footing going into this Dragon Soul. And it's very similar to kind of how we were talking about AoE in the last series, right? We've got 3 dragons stacked quickly. What can CLG Faith accrue before the 4th dragon to try and counter it?
Yeah, it's been a big talking point of, like, we talked about the fact they don't have any winning lanes, but they do have globals, right? Like,
yes.
They are constantly making use of that. And Draco, even when he tries to go in with the support of his team here, they're not able to find it. Trevor going for the play, catches out the Karthus, but the heroic entrance comes in. Aaron finds the first kill. They're looking for
the
more.
Requiem.
There. They're going to lay in a huge amount of damage. But CLG Faith are looking to escape. The lantern is not enough here. There's Trevor who is going to be sacrificed. It is a 1-for-1. 1-for-2 actually.
Yeah.
As also the Galio got dropped.
Yeah, we'll take that for the side of CLG, right? Getting yourself a little bit of a foothold back into the game. And it all stems off the back of another Flash Lantern engage from Trevor. And it really begs the question, what is Masu doing out that far? You don't really need to be collecting that wave. You don't really need to be that far up whatsoever. There's no dragon that you're playing for. You've got your team nearby, but not close enough to stop that. And so that kill onto the Karthus is able to really snowball it for CLG Faith. And 2 kills gets them a little bit of gold back into this game. It buys them a little bit of breathing room. They get a little bit of wards down, but that Karthus is pumping out damage regardless of whether or not he dies early.
Yeah, it is. He's making full use of the passive, man. That's what I usually say. I will say, one of the things I have liked about Masu on this and is a young talent that is coming in here with, as you put it, a couple esports players that have been inside the scene for quite a bit of time. Has been confidently marching forward on the Karthus, right? A lot of Karthus players, they think about their HP bar a little bit too much. They think about dying a little bit too much. There's a reason why, throughout all stages of Karthus' life, the best Karthus players have been the ones that confidently march forward and say, okay, I will just die in the middle of a team fight. That's fine. I am outputting so much damage, I dare you to try to match me.
That's a great point, and I think that Masu, he's going that full damage Karthus build, as much damage as humanly possible, going for the Ludens into a potential that could be a Shadow Flame second item. That's what I'm expecting. Yes. But needless to say, the side of Team Pending is well set up for this second dragon. Look at that Rengar. 2.5 items completed on him. Moonstone on the Ivern. Karthus will have his ultimate up. Already has it up. 30 seconds until dragon. TBA should be able to walk into a Dragon Soul.
They should be able to. Their team fight is actually insanely good right now because of the fact that the Rengar is a threat that you have to assess. The Gangplank is really incredibly strong. They have so much AoE damage, even if you kill the Karthus, who is the squishiest member. Is it really somebody you want to drop right off the get-go?
Kitsuo!
Here's the play. The Descendants onto him. They are going to use the heroic entrance. They tag 3 with it. The taunt is there. They get on the vital members. Udyr drop. Tryndamere as well.
Requiem!
Requiem comes in, and they're getting flashbacks as their HP bars are getting deleted one after another. Chookies goes in. Kitsuo trying to see if he can find the remaining low HP target. But Team Pending put on a masterclass in team fighting.
Team Pending with a explosive team fight in the mid lane, and it was something that you talked about in the draft that got it all started off. The Rengar plus the Galio combination. When you're building this bruiser, tanky Rengar, you're really able to tank this initial engage. Look at the itemization from Kitsuo and how clutch it is here. Dives in, gets hooked, doesn't care because he's got the shield, the Galio ultimate shield, the Gore Drinker, the natural tankiness from your items, and all of that combines to set up Chookies for a massive play. And speaking big picture now, that's Baron taken for the side of Team Pending. They don't get Dragon Soul, which does, you know, stifle their plans a little bit, but you've burnt Flash on Town. You've burnt Flash on Aaron. You've burnt Flash on Trevor. Draco and Baco had no flash to begin with. Now it's time to go crazy with the Rengar Ivern. Walk around the map, utilize those bushes to catch out any carries that are trying to, catch any farm or get any vision down, get any jungle camps, and blow open this game and really extend your gold lead and try to close it out.
Yeah, this Gangplank is so hard for anybody to deal with right now, too, right? Like, he's gotten a couple kills. One of the big things about Gangplank, and this is why I think Gangplank is like a pick or ban champion, if you see anybody that plays just Gangplank in general, is that Global gave him such an early advantage, right? He lit out that cannon fire and got himself 2 kills based off of cannon fire alone. And that's what's catapulted him into this situation. He's Triforce Collector now. He is doing so much damage inside the team fights. And you really don't have a way to stop him because you might hit him with a death sentence. Guess what? He's got an orange and everything is K.
The problem with CLG Faith's comp at this point is you don't have the damage to punch through all of the shielding and healing that is available to Team Pending, right? We see Grievous Wounds built, but that means that Orianna's just going to deal less damage, right? She's sitting on tier Oblivion Orb, Stopwatch. Those are items that are not really adding to your damage profile. We see Aaron has to opt for the Bloodthirster just to survive the Rengar. That's not dealing too much damage. You'd probably want something like potentially, I don't know, an armor penetration item, maybe, more critical strike to deal more damage. The Bloodthirster's not really providing too much damage. It's giving you survivability, right? So I just struggle to see a world where CLG can punch through the damage. Look at Kitsuo, he tanks a hook. And he walks out, and he's still full HP. I mean, honestly, it's going to take a miracle for CLG to come back in this game. I love the early Requiem to poke them off.
Yeah, the Requiem is there, does a decent little chunk of damage, and it's also the artillery to follow up to see if they can catch anybody out. But here we go. Kitsuo is caught out of position. Draco is looking to go in, his heart full of rage. Doesn't have to worry about any Requiem spotting him out, but he wasn't able to secure a kill for his team. Everybody had to disengage on the play. Trevor's looking for a possible hook, finds it onto Chookies, but that's not the member they want. Moonlight Vigil is there, has the ability to put out some good AoE damage, but they're not able to do anything. It looks like they've just been tickled, and it's CLG who was getting routed inside of their own base. They are taking volley of blow after blow, time and time again. Chookies doesn't look like he's even been touched. Draco is getting jumped onto, has to run back to the fountain.
Aaron?
It is a race back into the fountain over and over, but they can't finish off these low HP members.
Oh, they're so desperately trying to chase down a few shutdowns, get some sort of goal to get back into this game, but Team Pending playing it to perfection. They don't give up any gold, they don't give up any deaths, and they are set up perfectly to try and close out this game. Dragon coming up in a little over a minute, Baron coming up in about 2 minutes, and the fact that you're going to be able to take Dragon's Soul and then walk straight into taking Baron with this team composition, CLG is going to need a miracle fight at the Dragon or a steal on the Baron to try and make things happen.
It is. I mean, if you're going to look for a miracle, if you're a team that has faith in your name, that's not the worst thing, I guess. Yeah. I mean, yes, it is a hard matchup though. It's the snowball condition has been met for Kitsuo, and it's something that they're having trouble with, especially because now he has a pot in his pocket. He's got Spirit Visage. It's scary. But now we're at the net problem, the net stage of the problem for this composition, and that is the scaling top lane and bot lane of Karthus GP with their globals are now in complete control of their destiny. There's nothing you can say about it.
Yeah, it is going to be very tough. A last-ditch miracle fight.
Yeah, Requiem is in. There's a catch out over onto the side. Aaron, though, is able to survive it all. It was a split fight for a moment, but both sides quickly disengage. But it is to the benefit of Team Pending. They are looking to push the envelope forward yet again. The cannon barrage just to slow them, to push them off, to make sure they can't continue to defend. Aaron has to grab that lantern as there was a bush right there, and Kitsuo was looking at him. like he was dinner. And this is an inhibitor tower that is going to collapse. The orb is there. Can they find a play? It is Kitsuo going for it yet again. Jutting the damage down. The
big shockwave
soaking up so much, but a big shockwave is just not enough. They disengage it yet again, and Trito's heart may be full of rage, but it stops beating right there. Another inhibitor to fall. Super minions crashing into the Nexus. Kitsuo is looking for his next kill. The thrill of the hunt. CLG Fate have no other option, as Team Pending will find game 1.
Rengar Galio coming up huge, carrying the entire game after a couple of flubs in the early game. What a crazy, crazy draft and game to get us started for a second series of the night. I loved it, right? We kind of saw it all happen this game. We saw Town get ahead in the mid lane off of a flub dive and a couple kills that he picked up in the river, but we saw the long-standing duo of Robbie Bob and Kitsuo. They've been playing collegiate together this year. They formed this roster with the intention of playing with one another, and they carry that game, right? On the back of Kitsuo, who is a very formidable Rengar player, showing that this combination can work at the highest levels of amateur play.
You can even see here in the post game, look at the damage dealt. That Rengar Karthus combination,
huge.
That's so disgusting. And it's funny too. You look over on the other side and you look at Aaron's and you're like, okay, so Aaron still got to have that pop-off performance inside of the game, but you look at the rest of the members and they just weren't able to support it. This composition from TPA was so good.
We've been talking about the summer theme here on Unified, and it really did feel like CLG Faith was hitting Rengar with super soakers. Like, it's doing no damage. Nothing is sticking to him. He's got his innate heal and crowd control cleanse. He's got the Ivern healing and shielding. He's got the Galio as well to provide a little bit more shielding and just to tank up some crowd control. And all of that combined to mean that Kitsuo was really able to just run over that game. If he wanted to jump in, he jumped in, and there was nothing CLG Faith could do about it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they trade out their super soakers. They go over to the volleyball net and they challenge them to a game of volleyball. Look, hey, look, the Rengar is wanting to bounce around. Hey, look, we're going to spike them back down. So we're going to have to see if that's what CLG Faith come back with inside of game number 2. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, game 2 is awaiting for us.